Alright gang, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a brand new series that we're going to call the One Tile Challenge. We're back on Calmlands. It's been a bit. We haven't played Calmlands since FS22, a map that everyone is extremely familiar with, so really shouldn't be anything too crazy for me to talk about as far as the map goes, but the challenge itself is going to be crazy. It's the One Tile Challenge, as I already mentioned. Well, what does that mean? Well, quite simply, we have plot or field or farmland 46, and that's it. We are not allowed to expand further than this 46 plot. We cannot buy plot 8 or plot 47, anything else. We have to stay confined to our farmland plot 46. That's it. Now, what are we going to try to accomplish here? Well, we want to try to build a small farm. And that small farm needs to be able to be producing a lot of money for us because we have quite a hefty loan to pay off. Specifically, $500,000. $500,000 has to be paid off for us to be 100% successful on this series. Now, what do we specifically start with? Well, we start with an MC McCormick Farmall. It's an International Harvester 1206, the Ultra setting, which we'll talk about more in a minute. We also start with a J50 cargo trailer. Again, we will talk about that in a minute. And we start off with this nice old shed. We'll talk about that also here in the near future. That is it. We start with nothing else. We have $95,000 in the bank, so we're not starting with zero, but we don't have a ton of money by any means either. And that $500,000 loan is going to start playing a factor almost immediately, right? We've got to figure out a way to get that thing paid down. So, what are you going to be doing to set this up if you want to run this? Well, quite simply, you start with $100,000 at the very beginning and a $500,000 loan. Before you load the map up, get those settings set, start from scratch, $100,000, $500,000 loan, load the game up. Now, I don't know if it's the same way on PC, I would assume it is, but on console, you automatically, even if you have everything set as start from scratch and don't give me a starting farm, you start with actual equipment on Calmlands now. So, the way that I went about it is I started with that $100,000, the $500,000 loan, loaded up, sold all the equipment, all the tractors, everything they give you, sell it all. Then you go ahead and you purchase Field 46, and then you're going to buy this tractor and this trailer. Now, what are those tractor and trailer mods? Well, let me show them to you. So the tractor itself is in the small tractors. If you scroll down here, it's right here. It's the Farmall 1206 mod, so you need to install that. Now, when you get in here, the only thing you have to change for this series, if you want to take part in this series, is change the engine setup from 1206 to the 1206 Ultra Power. It's $100,000. It basically bumps the tractor's horsepower up to 300 horsepower. The rest of this stuff, you can do what you want. If you want to add it to it, you can. It's going to cost you more money to do so, but if you want to change things and add things, you can certainly do so. Myself, I added the front weight to mine, and I added the front loader attacher, even though we don't have a front loader for it yet. But that's completely up to you. It's all dealer's choice, user's choice, player's choice, whatever you want to call it. That's all you. You can do whatever you want to do as far as the remainder of that stuff goes. But the 1206 Ultra Power has to be turned on. You have to have that for this tractor to be a part of the series. Now, the trailer is a similar situation. It is the Cargo J50 mod, so you want to download that. When you go into here, you need to bump your capacity up to 8,500. You want to have the capacity at 8,500. The remainder, again, your choice. If you want to add this stuff, you certainly can. It does cost more money. As you saw, I have a cover on mine, but that's your choice. You can do whatever you want. And finally, you need to put down this shed. I do not care where you put the shed. You can put it anywhere you want. I've decided to put it somewhere-ish in the middle of the field here. It's slightly off the middle if you look at the mini-map there in the left-hand corner, but around the middle is where I decided to put my shed, but you can put it anywhere you want. And that shed is, let me go find it really quick, the farm barn. It's not even a mod. It's a standard vanilla barn. $10,000. You have to put that down anywhere on the field that you want. So if you do that, you should have somewhere within the range of $95,000. Maybe more, maybe less, depending on what extras you added on to all the stuff. But you should be around that amount. Now, one note. You are not allowed to sell this tractor or this trailer for the entirety of the series. Period. Not allowed to. You have to keep them. If you want to get rid of the shed, you can do so, by all means. I would recommend you don't get rid of it for a while, but later on, if you want to and you want to upgrade to a different shed or you just want to get rid of it altogether, you can certainly do so. I will tell you that we will not be getting rid of the shed per se. We may move the shed, but we're not going to probably get rid of the shed. So that's it, Nate. That's the challenge. Now, it's not that you're not allowed to buy more equipment or anything like that. You could certainly buy another tractor if you want. You can not use that tractor at all. Whatever you want to do. But for the challenge itself, you're just not allowed to sell either one of these. You have to keep them. So that's the challenge. That's what we're going to get into. I'm really excited about this. I feel like a lot of people are going to be interested in this. And we'll see how it goes, right? We'll see how it goes. The used market right now, there's not really a ton out there. I guess we could do some veggies if we want to do root crops, because there is a used drill out there. We've got $95,000. Now, honestly, $95,000 is going to be enough for us to be able to accomplish most of the stuff we want to up front. The loan is going to come into play big time, though, once we start buying all of this to utilize, right? So I'm going to go with the case red just to kind of match our tractor a little bit. So we're going to buy the plow here first. So we're going to go get that plow right now. Let's jump into the tractor here. Now this tractor does have the option or the ability for you to put on a cover or a cab or whatever you want. I decided to go against that. Almost every series, actually it's not even almost, every series so far to date on FS25, we have utilized a tractor that has a cab. So I wanted to change it up. I wanted to go something different, one without a cab altogether. This is kind of the tractor I would envision myself owning if I had some land. So yeah, that's what I went with. I decided to go with that approach. Now 300 horsepower is definitely going to help us out early on, which is good. This thing does not have a lot of horsepower if you just buy it standard stock. I think it's like 80 or 90, something like that. So the 300 horsepower will help us, but the problem is going to be, as you know, Calmlands is relatively hilly. There's very few areas where it's flat. It's mostly just a big, massive hill going up, right? And we have it's a two-wheel drive tractor, as you can tell. So we're probably going to have a little bit of issue in some circumstances, I would think, even with that 300 horsepower. Now, if you've yet to download Calmlands on FS25, they've made some changes. As you can tell, this is completely different from what it normally would be when you came in here. And I think it looks all right. They did a decent job with it. Definitely shrinks the size that you used to have here. There used to be a big, massive area here, but that has since been removed with the addition of the new stuff here. Now, as far as mods and everything goes, you are welcome to do any mods you want. Try to stay away from super unrealistic mods. What I mean by that is, you know, Calmlands is very, very much a grass map, right? You start with lots of weeded grass. Try to do the best you can. I'm not saying you can't do it, but at least early on, try to stay away from utilizing heavy mods that can turn your grass into silage in like an hour, right? Or 2 hours. Like, you know, at least make it somewhat challenging. And speaking of challenging, we are going to talk about the more finite details here in just a second. Let me get this back to the farm and we will pull up the menu and I'll show you that. I think this is going to be a big hit. I hope it is. I hope a lot of people decide to take up this challenge. It's definitely going to be a little bit more difficult than you might initially anticipate because you've got to figure out a way to keep this neat and tidy, right? You really cannot afford to waste any space at all, and you cannot afford to screw anything up because you've got that $500,000 loan looming, and that is a lot of money that it's going to be taken away from you every month, and you're not going to make any money for a while unless you just do the grass silage. So let's talk about the finite details here for a second. Let's do an autosave really quick just to make sure nothing crashes. I've been dealing with some crashing lately as well. We need to go to settings, and here we are. So some of you who complain that sometimes I don't make my challenges difficult enough, you're going to be happy to know that we are playing on hard difficulty. We are playing with seasonal growth on. I do have the fixed visual month as June just to give us more time in the day if we need it. Now, the rest of this stuff, which I normally don't do, it's all on. This is going to be an extremely difficult series, I'm telling you. Snow's on, crop destruction's on, periodic plowing, which I never have on, is on, Fieldstone's on, lime's on, weeds are on, disasters are enabled. I did turn the dirt to slow just because I would prefer to keep my equipment looking cleaner up front. This stuff is I mean, it's whatever you want to do, right? But I do automatic engine starters off because that drives me crazy. All the AI worker stuff's off. It's just all the normal stuff for the most part. It's just we've added a bunch of the crops and growth all to on, which we normally remove one or two of them to try to make it a little bit easier on ourselves. In this instance, we are not going to be doing that. So That's what we're running, gang. Hard difficulty, small, tiny plot here. Well, it's not. I guess it's not that tiny, but in the grand scheme of things, it is a tiny plot. And yeah, we're gonna try to see if we can survive Calmlands here and create ourselves a small farm that produces enough money for us to be successful. Now I'm gonna have to go back through here and redo this. I've already screwed this up, but you know we'll get through it. It's not a big deal. So what do you think, gang? Are you excited for this series? Let me know down below in the comments if you are. If you want to take it up, let me know down below as well. I want to make sure I add you into the description. Speaking of the description, I will have all these details in there in case you want to read them or are interested in them. I know I need to not go all the way to the end here. When I ran this test with my members, we kind of noticed that it was a little bit close. So hopefully that's not too close to the edge, but I guess we'll find out eventually, I guess. Now, the way that I'm going to go about this, the way that I'm going to tackle this is I'm going to make multiple small fields. And what I mean by that is instead of making just one giant massive field, which we certainly could do, I'm going to go approach of having smaller fields that can be drilled, planted, harvested in a relatively quick fashion because I can offset stuff. We are doing seasonal growth, right? So we can offset stuff and have something to do every episode that way. I think it's the best approach. I think it's the smartest approach. There's a reason why I think that. Mostly it's because with the seasonal growth on, you know, we're only going to be able to harvest at certain periods. We're only going to be able to drill at certain periods, right? So if we have multiple things going on at the same time, it's not going to continue to be like a repetitive situation where I'm able to do, you know, maybe a harvest and maybe a plow in one episode, and then maybe a you know, drilling and then a harvest in one episode or whatever. I think that is the best approach and the way to go, and that's what we're going to try to do here. Now I'm trying to leave a little bit of space up here by our barn. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, we gonna have to have some room to expand and put some more buildings down, right? I mean, I think the best way to go about this, at least from my perspective, is to do some productions, right? And utilize some of the crops that you're harvesting for productions. I think that's going to be the way to really win this series, or to succeed in this series, I guess is what I should say. Man, I did terrible there. What was that? That side wasn't that bad, but I did terrible here. I'm going to have to try to fix this. It was awful. It is always difficult to try to keep the plow going straight, though. I'm going to be honest with you. It's very difficult to keep on console with a controller. It's very difficult to keep your path going straight here, because whenever you're creating a field like this out of something that's not an actual field made by the map, you know, you really can't utilize the GPS yet. You have to have the field created, and then you can use the GPS. So now, I will come back and touch some of this up, certainly, with you know, paint, right? With painting the grass on the ground, then put some meadow grass in, whatever. Just to try to make it look neater, cleaner. I am definitely going to do that, and I know that's a little bit of a waste of money, but I want this to look good. I want this to look realistic. So I'm willing to, you know, lose a couple $100 by doing that, if you will. That was much better, Z. I think there might still be a little bit off there, but that was much better. But this is kind of the approach that I'm looking at, as you can see here, right? This is a very skinny field. It's relatively long, but you know, if you were to harvest this field or you were to drill this field, just as I'm doing right now with plowing, like, it's not going to take me that long to do it, right? It's not a very, very large field that's going to take, you know, in the sense of like a time lapse. It's not going to be like a 10 or 15 minute time lapse like some of the times we do. It's going to be more of like a, you know, a half a minute, 30 seconds, 1 hour, 30 seconds, 1 minute, maybe 1.5 minutes, depending on what you're putting in here and what you're harvesting with. But that's really the strategy I'm going with, and I think it's probably the smartest strategy that I can come up with. I do believe this is going to be a big hit. I've been wrong before. I thought the Triple Threat Challenge was going to be a big hit, and it was an okay hit, but it did not gain the traction like I expected. But hopefully this one does. Hopefully this one garners that kind of attention, so we can get it out to more people, right? And then we can get more people involved with it, right? And that's what I like to see. Is I like when a lot of people are taking on the challenges. Like, you know, I might not be able to watch every single video that comes out because there's so many people doing them now, but whenever I have the time and I'm able to come back and watch, a couple episodes past the last time I watched one, right? Seeing where you've gone to, what upgrades you've made, what progress you've made. And a lot of the times, you never know. You might get an idea by watching somebody doing your challenge or another challenge that you're partaking in, right? You might be like, man, that's a good idea. I should try to figure out a way to incorporate that myself. And then you just modify it to your liking and kind of incorporate it, right? Now, this challenge itself, I'm not sure if anybody's done this challenge before on YouTube for Farming Simulator or not. I'm sure at some point probably somebody made this challenge up. Where I got the idea from, kind of going back to what I was just talking about. Recently, every once in a while I get into a mood where I want to play an older game or a game that I used to play back in the day. And I was playing some old school Roller Coaster Tycoon. Show my age a little bit, but I'm talking about the classic, the original Roller Coaster Tycoon 1 and Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, if you will. There's OpenRCT 2 out there as well, which is extremely useful because they add new stuff to it. But a lot of individuals, myself included, back in the day, would play Roller Coaster Tycoon and give ourselves challenges, very similar to what we're doing here in Farming Simulator. And those challenges would, be difficult. And one of those challenges was a single tile challenge, where you had a small tile section that you could purchase in the game, and you had to figure out a way to make a successful, theme park in this tiny little plot. And I said, you know what? That would make a great challenge, I think, in Farming Simulator, right? But the problem was I had this idea in my head for, 3 months now. But Calmlands only recently, well, at the time, it might have been out for a month now, I don't know. But recently it only came out, right? When the actual game first came out, Calmlands was not out in 2024. It was somewhere in 2025 that Calmlands came out, right? So, I just thought it would be a fun challenge to give a shot, see how it goes. 500,000 may be too much. We may fail, right? I don't know. But we're going to give it a shot and see what we can do and hope for the best here. Now, you might be saying to yourself, and rightfully so, why didn't you just mow this grass up first and then sell it and make a little bit of money off the grass and then do the plowing? You're right. I certainly could have done that. Should I have probably done that? Yeah, maybe. But we still have plenty of grass, right? It's not like we were going to be able to mow this entire field in this episode. That would take an eternity. So, and I don't really want to subjugate you to watching me just mow the entire field. I want to get started. So, we still have $87,000, so I'm not too concerned, right? I think we're fine, all things considered. Yeah, I'm happy with the way that turned out, man. I think that works. I think that works for us. So as you can see, that is a decent-sized field, not anything crazy, but you can look at the map there, and you would have enough room for, maybe 4 of those in this section that we're in, and then maybe another 4 on the other side, but you really don't have a whole lot more room than that. You're going to have to be very strategic with what you do, right? Very strategic. So, it is August. As far as the actual calendar, we can put canola in today, and oilseed radish, poplar. That's it. We can plant wheat in the next episode in September. I would assume it's also the same with barley. It is. Canola can also be planted in the next episode as well. Or the next episode. When I say the next episode, I'm sorry. In case you just stumbled across here and don't know, what I typically do with my channel, very rarely do I deviate from this, but I basically do 1 episode per month. I do not jump months in an episode. Now, some of you, I know, have said before that what I'm getting ready to do here drives your OCD crazy a little bit, being the fields being kind of close together, but I'm trying to utilize that to my advantage given the space we have here. I think I made that a little bit too large, but that's all right. Given the space we have here, I'm trying to utilize the size here to my advantage and try to... I do not want a worker on there. And just try to, use as much space as I possibly can. We're not going to really be going, up and down. There should be enough room for us to turn around down there at the end. So I'm not too concerned about, having these areas too close together. It doesn't really bother me that much. As long as it's relatively straightforward, I'm fine with it. We don't need to drive down the middle of it or anything like that. I'm gonna have to fix this. If I'm gonna have to fix this, I'm going a little. It's just kind of curving itself off, and I think it's just because of the hill that Calmlands is on right now. It's not the straightest thing in the world. We have to do it again. So I think the way that I'm going about it, obviously, clearly already I am, but I'm just going to kind of try to make a couple of fields here right off the bat, and maybe save the drilling for the next episode, probably. Now, harvester-wise, it's going to be a difficulty as well. There are a couple of harvesters that have luckily come out on Mod Hub. As I mentioned, I'm on console, so I only have access to what's on Mod Hub. But there are a couple that have come out on Mod Hub that should help us. Now, I've utilized these in the past, and I've complained about them. And unfortunately, that's just what we're going to have to utilize up front. There's just no other way that we're going to be able to succeed here if we don't utilize some of the cheaper harvesters. They just, as I've mentioned many times in the past, if you've been around for a while, they have a hard time turning sometimes when you get to the end. They just, I don't know what happens, but they go slower than molasses coming out of a bottle. So we're going to deal with that, but given the size of the fields, it shouldn't be too terrible. All right, so I've got that outline all done there. I went ahead and touched it up a little bit as well. Like I said, we're going to go around the outside edges here and try to make them look a little bit more unified, and kind of clean it up with some grass and just planting some more meadow grass down around it, which I will likely do a lot of that off camera, more than likely. But you're getting the point, right? We're trying to make ourselves a couple of fields here, get everything set, ready to go for us. Now, as far as the yard and everything goes, that's probably going to be a little bit of an afterthought for me, at least for right now. I think the most important thing for me is to get these fields kind of drilled up here in this episode, and likely the next episode we'll begin the actual drilling. We'll get these fields plowed up in this episode, I should say, rather. We might do a... actually, we probably will do a planting or a drilling of one of these fields today. But we're getting ready to get into the months where you cannot plant anything, right? So, really, I want to try to get a couple of things in the ground here in August and in September. So that way, when the winter months are done and it's time to harvest, we actually have something to harvest, right? Because if we don't, if we just continue to make up these fields and just try to get everything set and look neat and orderly, we will not have anything in the ground and will not be able to harvest anything when the next year comes, when the harvest season comes, right? So we're just going to be sitting around and just getting hammered by that $500,000 loan interest, right? It's not going to be cheap, man. It's not going to be cheap. Probably be okay for the first, handful of episodes, but once we start getting into the double digits, that is going to start playing a role for us if we do not have things properly planned out here. Now, as far as the rocks go, as you can see, there's Fieldstone on there right now. We're not really going to be able to deal with anything with the rockstone for a while. We're just going to have to suffer with that for a little bit. There's probably going to be a lot of things we're going to have to suffer with early on for a little bit, right? We're not going to be able to have the luxury of being able to do all the things we need to do, right? We're not going to have the luxury of being able to probably have enough money to pay for a bunch of lime to put down on here, have enough money to really get rid of probably a lot of the weeds when that time comes, right? We're going to be having to be very, very strategic with what we buy, what we purchase, and then as we carry on, be able to buy more to help us achieve our goal here, right? We can't just buy everything outright right now. That would it would kill us. It would cripple us with the loan when we're not going to make any money off these fields until March, right? do an autosave. I think March is when canola can be harvested. I'm not even correct on canola. Canola is July. June was barley. Something's in March. What is in March? I guess it's just the poplar and the oilseed radish and grass, obviously. Huh. Okay. Well, that's another thing, right? We need to probably buy a mower of some sort and have some kind of a small loading wagon. And if it's a matter of us just going and picking up that grass and selling it outright, which is not going to make us a ton of money, but it might be able to make us enough money to continue to let us survive, right? Now, the other thing we can do, and we likely will do, is utilize some different items that we can put down on the farm to help us make more money. More specifically, like the greenhouses, or maybe even a generator. I mean, those are a little expensive, but we could potentially put down something like that, right? Which would make us a little bit of money. Again, making sure you stay at the theme here with early on, not trying to utilize something that's going to just, be so unrealistic that it's going to make you succeed quickly. Try to make it a legitimate challenge, man. Don't give yourself the easy outs by doing stuff like that, right? All right. I'm relatively happy with how those came out. Like I said, I will go around and touch them up a little bit off camera, if need be. Like this one, I went a little bit too far here compared to that one over there, right? We'll just try to clean that up and make it look a little bit more. Yeah, they're not really asymmetrical fields, but you get what I'm trying to get at. More of an asymmetrical type of area. Hopefully this fits in here. I didn't even think about it. It might not fit in there. It is not going to fit in there. It's not going to fit in there. That's okay. It's a plow. It doesn't really need to go in the shed anyway. I was just going to put it in there because, well, we've got the shed. We've got room. We might as well stick it in there, but it doesn't need to go in there. We'll just put it here on the side of the barn here. Shouldn't be a problem. Perfect. Okay. So, let's see. What kind of plow are we going to get? What do we want to do, first of all? This, I don't think we're going to be able to do. Mostly because the harvester for it that I'd want to utilize is absolutely outrageous. It is extremely, extremely expensive. Like it was $90,000, I think, or somewhere around there. And we don't even have $90,000 right now. By the time we bought that planter, we would not. It would require us to do a lot of grass work if we wanted to go that approach. I'm not against doing that. We probably will do those at some point on this series, but early on, I still think the approach might be to go with the more traditional cereal crop type of harvester, or like corn and sunflowers, whatever, something like that. But we need to look at the harvesters and see which one's best. So let's see if we can figure that out. All right, so I decided to go with this Vultrafine BP2617SF. Should look very familiar. It's a drill that we utilized in FS22. It was a Massey Ferguson designed, but it's basically the same drill. That one was in there. I would love to have the other ones that were in FS22, the smaller ones. I'm talking about the John Deere, and I think it was a case. They were like 10 grand. This one was a little bit more than that, but it wasn't anything outrageous. And it is a pretty nice one, right? So we're going to utilize that. I don't think that's going to fit in the shed either, but that's all right. We will still utilize this nonetheless. We need to buy some fertilizer and some seed here, so we will go ahead and do that. I'm going to buy it in the liftable, even though I probably won't be utilizing that at all. I'm just going to purchase it in case I need to do it off camera of any sort. I have the ability to do so that way. Okay. And where'd the fertilizer? Why is it way over there? Weird. Maybe I was in the way of the spawn point. I must have been. All right, so there's still a little bit more room for solid fertilizer. I'm not going to buy another one. I think that's going to be sufficient for now. We're probably going to have some seeds up here. I don't think the seeds will all fit in there. Normally it runs through fertilizer more. It does. All right, perfect. So let's head down here to the farm. And we're going to put canola in today. Obviously, that's the only thing we can drill. And I think I'm going to put it in the bigger of the two fields. Now, that's relative, right? The field itself are pretty close in size, but the one is slightly larger than the other one. I'm going to put it in the bigger one just because it is canola. I want to put the wheat or the barley, whatever else we decide to put in on the smaller of the two. So let's go ahead and get the canola put into that field here. All right, that didn't take too long at all, as I kind of expected. I've got to do a little bit of touch-up work here. I got to get used to this drill again. This drill is a little finicky. For some reason, whenever I use this drill, I always think the tires on the right far end there, the big massive tires, I think that those are like the end of the drill, and they're not. I have to kind of look at the drill and realize that there's probably, I don't know, a foot or around that away from there, from where the actual drill is. So I always kind of try to line the tires up with the edge of where we last drilled at, and that's never correct. So, oh well, it is what it is. We've got the canola in the one field. We've got a great start here, gang. We are going to leave the episode at this point. I really, truly hope you appreciated it and hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please smash the like button for me. Subscribe if you're new. All that good stuff helps me a ton. You want to become a member, links in the description. You want to join the Discord, links also in the description. All of that good stuff helps me out as well. Thanks so much for your continued support. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next episode.